Galnet News Digest, 16th of February 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Aegis is back. And following the Thargoids sort of invading the California Nebula, they're sort of invading the Witchhead Nebula too.
Aegis, the all-superpower Xeno-Research and Defence Agency, has only been around for 5.5 years, yet it has spent the better part of 2 of those years defunct, following successive rounds of funding cuts and sabotage by Azimuth Biochemicals, the folk that brought INRA, the mycoid virus. Now, with Salvation dead and good riddance to him, and with the Thargoids back in the bubble, the superpowers have realised just how much they miss the sensible, science-based approach to preventing the Thargoids from wiping out humanity. Aegis doesn't do Proteus wave-style magic tricks, and its developments don't backfire. It has developed most of the AX weaponry we use today, and its next mission is to get us safely inside the Thargoid maelstroms, and to find a way of driving the Thargoids out of the bubble. Whether they will succeed or not remains to be seen, but with an A-list of sponsors, including Federal Congressman Tom Gillespie, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Corcoran, and the prismatic princess herself, Aisling Duval, it's hard to imagine how it could possibly fail. Given the alternative is being used as nursery food for Tharglets, let's hope they don't.
2 weeks ago, Archon Delane and his publicity agent, Commander Flossie, used the alleged Thargoid invasion in the California Nebula to attempt a takeover of Alliance bases. The Alliance fought back, and the Kumu crew have been driven back to where they came from. A lot of Thargoids were killed in the process, but the threat level from aliens still seems to be a lot less than the threat level from pirates, with oversized egos and a lack of judgment. This week it's the turn of the Witchhead Enclave to be visited by Thargoids, who are allegedly being nasty to the colonists there, although it remains to be seen if they're anything like as bad as the Thargoids round the maelstroms in the bubble. If they're anything like the Thargoids in the California Nebula, any combat will be strictly opt-in. Humans living in the Pleiades would be well advised to consider taking a week's holiday, starting a fortnight from today, and those in the Coalsack Nebula might like to think about a short break round about the middle of March.
There are rumours that something big might be happening around the middle of March. Perhaps we'll get to see what's inside the maelstroms. Perhaps we'll get to be friends with the Thargoids face to face. Perhaps there will be a massive shake-up in power play, with Angela Corcoran replacing Prime Minister Mahan in charge of the Alliance, and Hadrian Duval taking over the day-to-day running of the Empire. Or perhaps we'll finally be able to order drinks at the bar in our fleet carriers. We'll just have to wait and see.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we track the aliens invading federal space, so you don't have to.
While the team on Dex Island take a well-earned break before their Series 2 return, there's plenty of material to fill the void. Point your auto assistant to your favourite podcast app, including Spotify and Audible, and search The Dex Legacy. There you'll find bonus edition interviews with cast members and with the writer Emily Inkpen. There's also plenty of bonus materials and merch at www.thedexlegacy.com. All proceeds go towards the making of Season 2.
Are you struggling with paying fines? Do you lose sleep in hyperspace worrying about docking at the next space station? If the answer is yes, then you need to call Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services.
I got scanned while in Federation space and was caught carrying slaves. It was an unexpected expense that I couldn't afford on top of my fines for damage caused whilst docking.
We can help you consolidate all your existing fines into a single large fine, payable in regular instalments at what is almost a competitive interest rate.
I called Cowell & McGrath Fine Management Services, and they helped me pay my existing fines before I got a bounty on my head. They really saved my life.
At Cowell & McGrath, we've helped thousands of pilots whose fines had spiralled out of control.
I dared not go near a police star system. Got so desperate that I'd almost resigned myself to a life of piracy. Luckily, I found Cowell & McGrath's services before I actually murdered anyone in cold blood.
No fines too big, no criminal record too damning. We're here to help you, no questions asked. Find us in the Lave business directory.
I'd got into debt as a result of a massive counter lawsuit by Watt and Pritney. It happened because I'd taken advice on Python protection insurance from... Wait a minute! It was you!
Cowell & McGrath. Minimum liability, zero accountability. Warning, balances may go up as well as down. Missed payments may lead to repossession of your ship, seizure of cargo, or the issuing of a death warrant.
From the creators of luggage limpets and passenger lounge suitcase shuttles comes the latest revolution in passenger transportation. The passenger cannon. For centuries, circus performers have perfected the technique of being fired from a cannon. Paired with our new memory gel passenger pod impact absorption technology, you too can speed up disembarkation times from your liner by up to 250%. No longer be limited by pad sizes and excessive docking fees with the passenger cannon. But how does it all work? First, all passengers will be issued with a passenger pod inflation suit during transit. On approach to your passenger's destination, simply fill the inflation suit with our patented impact-absorbing memory gel. Then, once in a stable position in proximity to the destination, effortlessly slide them into the disembarkation chamber ready for launch. The passenger cannon is now available in both gimbaled and turreted varieties to make aiming elementary. Make your liner one of the top 1% in the galaxy. Buy a passenger cannon today. Warning, passenger cannon must not be operated on high-gravity planets or near geysers.
We all know what it's like. You're busy managing your settlement when suddenly the alarms go off.
Oh no, not again.
That's right. A commander with a Federation naval rank of Admiral, an Imperial King no less, has landed in a ship worth over 100 million credits and is killing all your staff, while they look around for a 10 credit adhesive to glue an upgraded scope to their 100,000 credit assault rifle. They fly away with their super glue and you're left with a problem. How are you going to get your agricultural plant back up and running?
How am I going to get my plant up and running?
How are you going to find staff at short notice?
How am I going to find staff at short notice?
How are you going to deal with all those bodies?
There's bodies everywhere, and they've stained the carpet.
Wonder no longer. Call Harry's Crime Scene Cleanup Services.
Hello, I'm Harry from Harry's Mine. After a sudden increase in robberies and murders by commanders since 3307, I've gained valuable expertise in cleaning up bodies, recruiting new staff and restocking stationary lockers. Now you can benefit from my experience by signing up to our Crime Scene Cleanup Service subscription plan.
That's right. For only a small monthly fee, when your settlement alarms are activated, our rapid response cleanup crew will be dispatched, along with our patented Cadaver Scoop 150. The Cadaver Scoop 150 can be mounted to surface reconnaissance vehicles and skimmers to make tidying up your settlement a breeze.
Wow, The bodies are gone.
Our recruitment team has potential new employees on standby across the galaxy, ready to fill your vacant roles in security, logistics, administration, processing, and more.
My plant's operational again. Thanks, Ares Crime Scenes Cleanup Services.
Ares Crime Scene Cleanup Services. We'll have your settlement as good as new before the next ship arrives. Cadaver Scoop 150 disposal bags sold separately.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
My dreams as I travel to that trinary star. Can I leave my seat, take a stroll and stretch my feet, though I promise not to go too far. I could climb onto a Thargoid base, or maybe dangle from a planetary hat. Take a stairway up to heaven, jumping ship to ship. I'm sure we'll make it there together. Yeah, we'll always pull together. Space madness ain't this mind. How many years ago you can tell from all the babble, but we're all mad. It seems together. Instance dreams keep reminding me of screens where I found another binary Earth-like pair. I need to leave this seat before it starts to eat me. Hyper-addicted by my bobblehead, this Braben talking. What did he say to me? Or was it one of those brain trees? I think I heard a bird uncle speak. I'm in too deep. Rex has got me craving tinfoil hats. I'm just degrading. Space madness ain't this mind. How many years ago you can tell from all the babble, but we're all mad. It seems together. Instance
welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite
and the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous,
and the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from the Orange Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 434 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, otherwise known as Colin Ford, Chief Archivist of Lave Station. And joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our... we've had to make a little bit of a change here. We've got our Banksy stunt driver, Commander Alec Turner.
Woohoo! Good evening, all.
Good evening. We have our staff liaison officer, Commander Psychit.
Hi. Hi.
And also joining us in front of the mic instead of being in control behind the mic, we have the legend that is the Chris Mark IV.
Greetings.
I did this. I bullied him into it literally 5 minutes ago. It's amazing.
Yeah, Ben was running late at work today, so unfortunately he wasn't able to make it, which is a shame. It is. We miss you, Ben. Hurry up. Anyway, if you wish, you can join us live. We are hanging out in game, in open, at the bar on the planet Lave. So you'll probably find the Chris Mark IV just hanging out there, as Commander Ventura probably is as well. So if you want to go and wave at them, or if Nick Lambert has worked out a way how to stroke someone's bottom, so if you want to do that, fine. Whatever does your thing. But if you can't get to us in game, you can also join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or Facebook, or YouTube, or Twitter. We're there, all of them. So yes, that's us. So let's have a quick talk with the team and see what they've been up to since the shenanigans of last week. And I think, Psychit, we know you're not feeling too well at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all right. I think I complain about it more than it actually affects me. I've been having a cracking fibro flare from probably about midday Saturday. Just like lots of rib pains, lots of breathing in, being like taking a full breath hurts. But it's one of those things where I really do bitch and moan about it, and I appreciate that other people have like worse shit going on. But it doesn't, like, people have, I'm constantly reminded of the fact that I tell other people when they're having a bitch and a moan, that when people have other people having a bad time or having what you would say is objectively worse is doesn't negate the fact that you're having a shitty time of it as well. So I'm going to moan because it's consuming everything at the moment. But I do have a wall update.
Oh. Go on, then.
Remember, like bloody ages ago, some idiot in a van just like went into a wall and
Yes.
and knocked it squint. It was squint for a really, really long time. Yesterday they started tearing the wall down, and so that they could fix the brick, like make sure that the bricks were okay, because it was a bit of a problem with getting the right bricks, because they quoted based on a different figure because the supplier was an idiot. But we have today they put the brand new wall up and it's perfect. It looks like nothing. It looks like nothing has ever happened. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy, and I thought it was going to take them forever, and it took them 2 days, and I'm so happy.
Good job they weren't Russian bricklayers, because as soon as they finish one roll, it disappears.
No, they weren't. They because of the way the added charge it would have been to replace everything in the wall, they very fastidiously took every single brick and chipped all the mortar off every brick, and then put the bricks back on the wall, so it looks seamless. It's beautiful, and I'm so chuffed with the fact that our wall is fixed now.
They sound very good. Do they do tiling? Maybe Psycho Cow would be interested in getting them to.
I don't know.
Bathroom.
I don't know how far they would travel.
I
don't think going from South Wales to Scotland would be a good plan. But it makes me so happy.
All depends on how desperate Psycho Cow is. And it's ironic because next month my bathroom update starts.
I don't think they'll go to you either, mate. I'm not gonna lie. Although I do know a really good tiler. We're really lucky in the fact that when we moved into this village, like our next door neighbour is a plumber. It's fantastic. You know, we've got so many handymen that live around the village. It's great.
Lovely. What about in game?
Oh shit! I've been doing that. I have been in game. I've been doing maelstrom diving. Today I did like on foot stuff for the first time since maybe October. But we've been like, I don't know about you, but Azimuth are getting really wordy again, and I'm not super keen on it. So one drama's looking quite interesting. So I've been over there being devious.
Yeah, good, because we've got a lot to talk about with those
yeah, we
people
really do.
later, haven't we? Yes. Right, well, we'll move on. Chris Mark IV, welcome to On the Mic.
Hello.
Hello. You've been playing a bit this week, I guess?
Yeah, I've been playing about a little bit. So in real life, in the other world, I was at a charity fundraiser on Friday night for a local media education charity. It is pig racing, where they race little electric toy pigs on a track, and I can highly recommend it. It's better than a DVD race night. It's lots and lots and lots of fun. Everyone just gets behind it.
It's basically Scalextric pigs.
Pretty much. So there are these little ones that sort of walk along and then they oink and they shuffle, but because they all set off at different times, your one will be right in the lead and then it'll stop to oink for a bit and think about it, and everyone else overtakes it. I didn't win any races, however, I did have a very good time. And then on Saturday, I went in to see the new Shazam movie, Fury of the Gods, so enjoyed a bit of that. And,
that's good to hear.
Yeah, so that was I had quite a busy little weekend. In game, I've not done a lot. In game, I've got to say. I'm really sorry. But I have been sort of having a little mill about. I'm trying to get some bits and pieces for my suits. I don't know what I want to do to my suits, but I know I want to grade 5 them. So I'm working on that first.
It's easy. It's easy. All it takes is dedication and about 16 hours of your life.
I know.
Yes.
I've been visiting our friend Ari a lot.
16 or 60.
Yeah, I mean, I was being like optimistic.
Oh, we'll move over to Commander Alec Turner.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
My son and wife went to see Shazam today, actually. It sounded like they had a good time, but I haven't seen it. But I did go to see 65, which is daft as a brush, but actually quite a good quite a good thrill ride, actually. It's one of those classic films where he's only got to get like 12 kilometers from here to there, and the entire film is getting from A to B. But there's a damn good adventure along the way. And again, my wife, who doesn't always enjoy that sort of thing, watched the entire film, half the film from behind her hands, but loved it. Yeah, it's good fun.
No, nothing to do with Mr. Adam Kylo Ren driver on it, then. Nothing to do with him.
No, I don't think. I don't think he's her type. He's very good in it, actually. Yeah. And we went out for a Mother's Day Sunday roast, an unspecified meat Sunday roast. Stupidly forgetting that every badly behaved child in the area would also go to the pub for a Sunday roast, so it was a bit of chaos, but it was all right. And in game, because I've now got my caustic sinks, I've been having all sorts of fun doing stuff with things like taking Thargoid tissue samples to settlements, as per the video that I released last week. And incidentally, what the hell is up with this? So if anyone's seen my video, you know, we all know the guys that say, "Oh, stop," and you have to stop and let them scan you.
Yes.
So for those that haven't seen my video, I'm in the process of rolling a Thargoid tissue sample towards this bar, and these things have a limited shelf life after which they explode. So I'm kind of in a hurry here, and this guy does a stop and scan on me. So I'm like, oh, okay. But he's like the wrong side of a little wall and starts walking away from me really, really slowly. And I'm looking at where this wall goes, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, he's going to have to walk all the way around there. So I start walking very slowly directly towards him to kind of, shorten his journey. And he goes ballistic and bloody well shoots me. What the...
Yeah, that's real. That's real annoying. Have been there, done that like
annoying.
1,000 times.
It's incredibly annoying. Anyway, and now this last couple of days, I've been making Grelics again and trying to think of interesting things to do with them and places to shove them where they haven't been shoved before. But I don't expect any of it to yield anything apart from comedy.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because that's exactly what I've been doing over the weekend. My weekend was taken up with, first of all, creating Grelics. So I've got 3 or 4 Grelics, and then I've taken them all the way around the Guardian sites, left, right, and centre, where I made a interesting discovery. Not on every Guardian site, but you know the hangar bases that are... we think they're hangar bases. It looks like there's a runway going up to what looks like an entrance that goes underground.
Yeah, like a big double door kind of thing that looks clearly like it's sliding doors but does nothing.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. I fell for the triangle thing. I did.
Okay.
I fell for the triangle thing, and I went out there, and the one thing that's on those hangar big doors is a big sodding triangle, including something that looks just about the right size that you could put a Grelic or a relic, Guardian relic, in it to power it up and open it up. Because if you look underneath it, it looks as if there's a mechanism and all that kind of stuff.
And drum roll. I'm excited.
Yeah.
What happened?
You reckon I can probably spoil this for you?
What happened was, although I wasn't able to open one of the hangars, I was able to look through it. There is actually, when you go to the front of the door, in some of the places, the doors open a crack, and you can see through to a separate chamber behind it. And I can't get, obviously, into that chamber. Now, I don't know whether or not this has been in there since the Guardians first appeared.
It's been in there for a little while.
Yeah.
I have paced through those doors before with, you can do it with a camera and certain
I was
places.
trying to. I was trying to get the camera through there, but it wasn't working. I take it you found nothing in there when
Nothing
you
in there. It's just like a second little area. I think that's designed for just in case you clip through with a head or something. It's just like a second room, but I don't think there's anything else there. In some of them, there's also like rocks and terrain that is through as well. I've seen some videos on YouTube.
Yeah, well, there was me thinking, I've found something, and nothing. So basically, I just took the Grelics to Ramtar and took the money. But it was fun going around the Guardian sites and the Guardian beacon. The Guardian beacons, now that they've been rejigged in Odyssey, are really nice.
Yeah, I'm on my way to the beacon actually.
Yeah, I still think that there's something in the legacy version that makes them a little bit more atmospheric, but they're still nice as they are. But
have they fixed? I think this came in with Odyssey. There was a thing, when you let's think when you first power up their 3 doohickeys,
yes,
and they change the whole thing changes configuration.
Mm-hmm.
The animation was very jerky. It was like.
Oh no, it's smooth as butter.
Smoother. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, good. Okay, hopefully they fixed it. Good looking.
Yeah. I think the frame rate issue with the beginning of Odyssey still was an issue then. I know that's one of the things that I was really disappointed with when I first played Odyssey and went out to the Guardian stuff. But this time round, it's back to its beautiful. Not as good as the Legacy version, but pretty damn close.
Disagree. I think it's a lot. I just think it's more atmospheric in Odyssey. Maybe I'm looking through it as someone who's just not touched Legacy for so long now.
Yeah, I thought that as well, but I did actually go back and do the same thing in Legacy because I was checking to see whether or not the hangar doors were the same in Legacy as they were in Odyssey, and I don't know. It's something to do with the atmosphere. The gas, the blue gas cloud around it. It seems to work a little bit better in Legacy, but it's far better than it was when Odyssey was first released. It's pretty close to how it was. Chris,
I was just going to ask, have we got any Guardian ruins on atmospheric world yet? The tenuous atmosphere planets. No. See that? I think that would add an extra dimension to it, wouldn't it? That'd be pretty awesome.
No, I don't think so. Because I think aren't both Thargoid bases and Guardian ruins kind of restricted to certain planet types, which kind of exclude them from being atmospheric?
Well, they're also. I don't think I've ever come across a Guardian site. Now, one of the Guardian sites where you get the blueprints, or a Thargoid base in the day.
Oh,
They're
really?
always at night.
Really?
They do exist.
They do exist. They look even better during the day. It's great. You can see what you're doing, Colin. Can you imagine being able to see stuff?
Yeah, it seems every single one that I have visited is always in the dark. Now, the first round of Guardian bases, yes, there are bases that you can drive around there in the daylight. But as far as the blueprint ones are concerned, I've never seen one in daylight.
No, I have.
Go on, Alec.
I was going to say, actually, back when I was involved in the making that Machinima series, which never quite made it, Rebuy Unlimited. I spent a long time scouting Guardian sites because we wanted to do a scene at one. And you're right, an awful lot of them are in the dark, but we did find one that was absolutely flipping beautiful that was in daylight.
Oh, damn it! I wish I could find that one because I do love the missions.
I was at one like 2 weeks ago in the light. I was getting weapon blueprints.
I'll have to see if I can find a tidily locked one for you that is in daylight, and then I can post the link.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I still think that it's far more atmospheric in the dark when you actually power up those pylons and you can see these 6 or 8, depending on which base you've been to, pillars of light just going straight up into the sky, and then you get attacked by the Guardian Those Guardian things. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we've been. Well, wow, we've been doing a lot this week, to be honest.
I feel like, just on the topic of what we've been doing this week, I feel like specifically this week has been very much a week where a lot of people have been repeating things and revisiting things.
Yes.
I just think there's a theme for a lot of people that we've been going back to very popular areas.
Interesting, isn't it?
Can't say what might have triggered that.
Yes, wonder why. Anyway, and the other thing I managed to do is for the first time since the Thargoid War started, I went back to my power play commander, and I've managed to get him and back into the good graces of the Emperor. But unfortunately, I will say, it seems that a lot of other power play players were like me. They've gone and moved over to playing the Thargoid War, and you can tell. You can tell because normally systems that are fully marked as controlled and populated, and everybody's delivered their postman pat letters, or you're you're going to hit them with a very strongly worded leaflet campaign. Those worlds aren't populating as or being controlled as well as they used to be, and I think people are finding more interest in the Thargoid War at the moment, which is a bit of a shame, because I was actually looking for a PvP power play fight, but wasn't able to get one. Here's me look at the one time I start looking for PvP, and no. Anyway, let's move on from my whinging to the development news. What have the devs said this week? Well, on Thursday, they've announced that the Thargoid behavior has changed. Now, we'll probably touch on this in the in-game events later, but 2 items have been highlighted. Is that previously unoccupied systems are now under Thargoid control or have alert states will be much easier to push back than if they're populated. In addition to that, the Thargoids are now going to deprioritize expanding into unpopulated systems. Now, this has been one of the things that people have said is that, the Thargoids have got a lot of systems, but at least a third of them aren't populated by humans. They haven't kicked the humans out of that system because there weren't any humans in there to begin with. So, yes, it looks like Thargoids have now decided that empty space isn't worth anything, so they're only after us mushy flesh bags. So, maybe they've decided that they're hungrier than normal. On the March the 17th, we had the usual Galnet news roundup, along with its dark overtones, undertones. The usual sarcasm.
Algorithms.
There's a good one. The usual algorithms. Yeah, we'll have to keep that one in. I'll make a note on that in the show notes. And then finally, we had the Discovery Scanner, which happened this week, which summarized the events for the last week. Obviously, there's the news about Update 15 still being on target. Console copies portal will be coming back soon. Can't say when. And Frameshift Live 28 will be happening this Thursday at the usual time of 4 o'clock over on the official channels. So, yes. This time they're actually bringing in some of the audio team, which is always fascinating to hear because they're always good for a listen. Surprisingly enough, the audio team there good for a listen. Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. It's just not, is it? Anyway, moving on. So that is what they've said this week. I do feel that everything is. Although I'm really still getting into the Thargoid War and doing other things, I think that things are mostly on hold until we start seeing stuff about update 15, which is apparently still on target. So anyway, from there, the in-game events. What has been happening this week?
Been pretty quiet week, really, isn't
Unfortunately, Aegis has made some recommendations to the Aegis. They have made
still Aegis.
they have made some recommendations for the way we should be fighting Thargoids. Their hints are, well, I hate to say this, but when an invasion starts, it's too late. Our best bet is actually to stop them from invading in the first place by stopping them at the alert stage. Now, I have a couple of issues with this, but I'll get into that in a minute.
Doesn't everybody?
No problem at all.
And they've recommended that going after the Orthrus, which was there. You see, I thought I was good at puns, but that was apparently Sally twisted herself into knots trying to get that pun working. It's almost as good as one of the guard frequency ones. Anyway, it seems that hitting the Orthrus is basically the way to stop an alert. And because of that, they've also upped the reward money that you get for taking out an Orthrus. Right. Does anybody want to talk about the Orthrus? Because I have a...
You guys go moan and I'll tell you how to fix it.
That's a great idea. I've got a moan as well, so we'll do moaning and then Psychic will come in with the...
with the positivity.
With the good feels.
Yes. Right, my moan is I can't find them. I have found a couple of times, I have looked for hours, and I know what I'm looking for. I know I'm looking for a Threat Mark IV with a little cargo icon that's next to it. I've done scans. I've used the Discovery Scanner to refresh the amount of signals that I find. And the last couple of times I tried to do this, I was playing for 2 hours, and I didn't get a single Orthrus signal. And it's just... I want to take one out. I still haven't managed to take one out yet. I've got a ship specifically built to do it, but I can't find one of these blighters. And I'm hoping that this was one of the changes that they made, but I haven't had a chance to test it yet. So that's my moan. Okay. That's my moan. Right. I am now deep.
I confess when I read this, what I like to do sometimes is, I don't like to kick off in certain Discords like Lave Radio's Discord and Bird Discord, because it's all very lovely there. So what I tend to do is go to the Loose Cruise Discord. So I was flipping tables in the Loose Cruise Discord, which is great fun. What really ticks me off about this is, okay, it's Galnet, it's fine, but really what it is it's Frontier saying, guys, you're not playing the game the right way, guys, and they've been hinting, and it's like they feel the need to shout a bit louder, so they're giving us financial rewards to go and do this thing that we're not doing. But the reason we're not doing it is because your effing game isn't designed properly. On two counts. One is like what Colin's saying, which is that there just aren't enough Orthruses to make it rewarding. Basically, the gameplay, which apparently is the main way to stop this war, is hanging around in supercruise for hours, waiting for the right type of USS to spawn. What really bugs me about this, I suppose, is the whole thing. When Update 15 first came out, and the only thing Arthur was prepared to hint at was, you'll find this new kind of, Thargoid interceptor, and watch it, because it's going to do something different. And so, we all watched it. We all got, within 2 or 3 days, we all got, okay, so it's picking up sensors, so it's scouting. That's cool. Okay, what can we do? Can we scoop the sensor? Can we replace the sensor? Can we do something else? And really what this Galnet is saying is, no, just kill it. And it's like, really? That was, oh God, that was your design. Just kill it. Oh,
I've got no problem with it.
So angry. I'm sorry.
I've got no problem with just kill it, because I want to just kill it. Except the only problem is I've only ever come across 4 of them, even though I've been looking for them for absolutely ages.
You know,
And
and the thing also, like, you know, with game design, it's a classic. Game design is really subtle. I'm not a game designer. I couldn't claim to do it. But you look at something, even something simple like a straightforward linear first-person shooter, something like, I don't know, Half-Life. Getting someone to walk the right way and not spend hours banging their head against a door that you're not supposed to open, it's subtle. You do it with clues and stuff. And so if there's a thing that we're supposed to be doing, in this case, killing Orthrus, you design your game right. You make it fun. You make it the thing that people want to do. You reward it. You make it so that it triggers frequently. You make it so that there's clues and pointers in the game. None of which they've done. So they're now throwing money at it and saying, please do this thing. It's the way to win the war. We'll pay you more money. The fun thing, which is what everyone is doing, is going and fighting, you know, in combat zones, because it's atmospheric and there's shit going off left, right, and center, and it's bloody good fun. I'm sorry, but they've ballsed up the game design as far as I can tell. Anyway, Psychic, put us all right. Tell us why it's all lovely.
I played I did Orthrus hunting with 3 other folks ad hoc on Friday for about 2.5 hours, and I think we killed we finished an instance of Threat 4, and somebody else had found a Threat 4 and there was an Orthrus in it. We killed loads of them. It was great. It was easily some of the most fun I've had in game so far, with regard to the Thargoid combat, because right now I've been like doing Thargoid combat in a big group, and it's been all fun and games and stuff, but this actually felt challenging and more of a challenge. If you can, I have this envisage of like getting more than one wing together, and then because we managed to instance there was a wing and then one other person that kept dropping in with us as well and following our wakes in. We were like jumping between 2 systems between like the 5 of us, and when we'd find one we'd signal for it and then head over and get it. Honestly, some of the most fun and coordinated fun. Within 2 hours we'd gone up by like 6 chevrons on the game. We weren't going super hard at it. I think I took a break in the middle of it and that kind of thing. Legitimately some of the most fun I've ever had in Elite was last Friday.
It's really cool. So what's the difference? Because it's not just, you know, I have heard people say that being in a wing or stuff seems to increase the trigger rate for these, but I've also heard lots of people saying I've been out there in a wing for hours and hours and hours and seen 2. So
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that they made the announcement on Thursday, you did it on Friday, and you said you came across 30 of them.
I came across a lot of them for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like anytime we would kill one, we'd jump back into Super Cruise and someone else would have a Threat 4. And the thing that makes it
right then.
And the thing that makes it so much better, and when you're doing it in a wing or with a group of folks, is that each of you have your own signal sources. So you're upping the chances of finding that signal source. So where I couldn't see a Threat 4, somebody else could. But once they've dropped into that, we can all follow them in. And I made like a shit ton of money in a very, very short amount of time. But it's made me replan my Shard Corvette to also go and learn anti-AX missiles.
Yes.
Because they just degrade really quickly. So it's you have to kill it super fast if you're using Guardian tech. It's just a new a different dynamic, and I really, really enjoyed it. It made a really pleasant change of pace from doing the other the Thargoid combat, which, let's face it, I've been prolific over the last few weeks. I've just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I said, I've not actually had a problem with the gameplay. When I've actually tried to take down an Orthrus, I've really enjoyed it. You know, you come away with it, even though I haven't managed to take one down, I was still coming away with the shakes, thinking that was awesome. The problem is just getting the same spawn rate as you. So, as is pointed out by yourself and people in the chat room, that best do it in a wing, guys. So everybody, wing up.
It's encouraging. It's encouraging like group gameplay, which is something I think that Frontier is sort of like trying to very subtly point towards. It's, play with some other people, because it's the game's more fun when you play with other people. Can confirm.
That is completely true. Most of the multiplayer sessions that I have had with people all dealing with Thargoids or pirates or it, as I've pointed out before, power play, that's been when Elite's at its best. And obviously when you don't have instancing problems. But yeah, when it all works, it works so well. Alec, you've...
Yeah, unless this is what Chris is also going to say, I was going to comment on research limpet samples. Is that what you were going to chip in on, Chris?
Kind of, yeah. I was going to sort of jump in and say it's not just the Orpheus killing, is it? It's, you can kind of use other methods to manipulate it.
Yes.
So I only read this on the forum today, but there's a whole thread on it about how getting research limpet samples from Thargoids in alert systems seems to work. Actually, one commander, Alex Zuno, said spectacularly well. He's actually managed to single-handedly turn back a system just by getting shed loads of research limpet samples. It doesn't make any sense, to me at least. I mean, so you've got Thargoids probing, deciding which system they're going to invade next, and you taking tissue samples stops them going there. Yeah, okay, whatever. But apparently it works really well.
Yeah, because I'm always looking for sort of ways where I can't take on an Orpheus by myself. Definitely not. I mean, I think most of you have seen me in Thargoid combat, and it normally ends up with me exploding in various different ways. So, like, if there's other ways to push back alert systems, then, I'm all for that as well. I'm just glad that they finally put... I know that Darren had sort of hinted during one of the frameshift streams, but now to have it in Galnet itself is like, okay, now you've put that advice in game as well for those that are maybe not keeping up with the dev streams. Because as much
that means it's canon.
That means it's canon.
No,
yeah.
But not even just that. It on that in particular. Not everybody can watch the dev streams, and not everyone can then go back and go. You can't really expect someone. And this is a very weird thing for me to say, currently sat on a 2-hour show, but you cannot expect everyone to go back and listen to a 2-hour show if they don't have the time to listen to it then and there.
No.
Unless, of course, it's Lave Radio, then you should listen to it.
Nah, fuck us, we're terrible. But like, if you miss it, it should be, these signal boosts and these things should be in game. They should be pointed out to us, especially if it's a known thing that you can do. And apparently, killing the Orpheus is the thing that we've been missing, or concentrating on alert systems, should I say, rather than just killing the Orpheus.
Yeah, to stop.
I don't know. I find it really interesting.
Yeah, to help contain it, your best chance is to deal with the alerts.
Yeah, and apparently that's been doing really well this week as well. There's like Captain MD is very prolific in keeping a track of the stats, and has reliably informed me that we've turned around a lot more systems this week than we normally would.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. I'm hoping that in that case they have updated the spawn rate, even for solo commanders, so that we've got a little bit more. And I'm hoping that's what the hint was. Because to tell you the truth, like I've said before, I really, really enjoy doing it. It's just I don't seem to be able to do it all that often. Right, let's move on to the 16th of March, also the same day. The Ammonia World Survey concludes. Well, this is the community goal that was still continuing for Ammonia Worlds, and yes, that's done. So go get your rewards, people. Now, on the 20th of March, there was not a community goal, but there was an incident. I got a suspicion that Psychic wants to talk about this.
Look, I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to get too excited about this. But
I was going, oh, and I can't get in game because I was at work.
Legitimately, when they started talking about like. Also, let's preface this with we're going to be talking about all of this. So if you haven't already checked it out, maybe skip to a little bit later if you're watching later, or like, you know, spoiler alert. It's, oh man, when they started talking about the fact that Salvation had uploaded himself into a computer.
Yeah, as soon as they mentioned that, and after the conversation that we had, when I thought, oh bugger, they're bringing him back.
But it, like,
by the way, spoiler alert: if folks don't want to hear this, then rewind about a minute and then stop listening.
Yeah, good point. But like we talked about it, and we Katie, me and Katie were chatting, and her jaw was literally on the floor because this is what she's been saying forever. And I talked about the fact that it was the thing that Katie, granted, the Utopia stuff hasn't been brought into it. They haven't mentioned that. They're talking more about uploading into Guardian, using Guardian technology. But I'd be very surprised if there wasn't an involvement there. I'd be incredibly surprised if there wasn't an involvement there. And the feeling of A, dumbfoundedness, and B, complete vindication was, it was chef's kiss in that moment. What a good little thing. A little bit disappointed with how it sort of like hit a very, very solid brick wall.
Yeah, it has hit a brick wall. One of the things I did like was the fact that they tied into the project name.
Or the fleet carrier name.
Yeah, Nemesis, amazing.
Yeah. I know. I thought,
and she called him an arrogant prick as well, and it made more wonderful. And we also have Tanner pronounced Soa many times, so we have a straightforward, absolute canon confirmation of how to pronounce her surname, so that's good too.
Excellent. Yes, because because I was out doing Guardian stuff, I haven't traced up on this yet. So that's my next thing to do next weekend when I get back. Assuming it's still.
I knew we'd discuss it, so I sort of made a deliberate detour to get it done before the show because I wanted to sort of encounter it spoiler free. It's really nice. They're really good voice logs as well. I really like the whole. And I had a great. I pretty much always play an open, and I had a really nice encounter on the last bit where you've got 5 different systems, which she might have jumped to, and so you have to try each one. And I sort of did them in a slightly random order. But anyway, the one that actually had the final message in, there was a guy in a God, I've blanked on what's the Griefers ship? That's the one. There was a Fer-de-Lance there, hollow triangle, and I thought, oh, here we go. And I had a really good cat and mouse with this guy. No chat and text, but he was obviously after me, and I had really good fun just not letting him get behind me for ages and ages and ages, and trying to get to scan this final thing. It was really good fun, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons. That's the kind of gameplay that I like in power play, because normally I'm playing about a blockade runner.
Right.
So that means is you guys are my trade ship is as fast as you can get, and with it being a trade ship, and you've still got to interdict me. Good luck. And if you interdict me, you've still got to catch me when you actually pull me into real space. Again, good luck. But it's fun.
While we're on this subject, the final message, we can probably stop here and don't get into spoiler territory, but a lot of people still seem to be of the assumption it's a code. I mean, not code, it's just some expletives, right?
Yeah, well, it's just expletives. I've seen it in many different languages.
Yes, I have.
There's people are looking at the 6E that is common across all, and thinking that I think it's 6E. I'm obviously I'm not looking at it straight up.
My battleship.
Yeah, exactly. but like people are really, really sitting on that. I know because Soa and Tanner talked about there was a little nod to Operation Witch Hunt in there, which that warmed my little cockles, which is why I'm kind of doing it.
Smug.
Yeah. There's a little nod to Azimuth being kicked out of a lot of a few systems. We've had a fair few people ask us for a reminder of what those systems were. Those have all been combed for more information if there were data dumps somewhere, as Sarah references to. But nothing found in any of those systems. We have a relatively decent idea as to what her jump range is in her Eagle, which we also, on listening to the sounds on the recording, it's very almost certainly an Eagle with about a 42 light year jump range. So my guess is that when she jumped to the system beginning with N that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, when she jumped to that, she jumped from Karato, because that's about 40 odd light years away. So that's where I think she jumped from. However, having been through Karato myself with a very, very fine tooth comb and having seen a lot of other people do it, I don't think they have either. But we can but hope that there might be some further information later.
I reckon that's it for now. That's it.
Yeah.
Chris?
I was just wondering, do you think this is the thing that was sitting in game that Arf was kind of saying, hey, there's something that we put in here that you've not discovered yet? Was it these beacons in this trail, do you think?
No, I think that dropped in on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons why I was looking at the Guardian sites again.
I think the thing that we've missed per se, and I say that in very inverted commas, is how effective doing things in alert systems was. That would be my guess, which I can't retcon into a triangle, but by all means certainly try.
Well, I'll put it this way: I'm all out. I
Just
can't.
obtuse is what it is.
Out of ideas or triangles?
It's just not the right angle for me. Okay, let's move on.
That's beautiful. That was sexy. I'm here for it.
In other news, Congress has voted against Hudson doing a Trump, which I thought was quite nice. So basically, what's supposed to happen was that Hudson said, listen, because of the Thargoid crisis and all the kind of stuff, I should stay on as federal president, and I should be allowed to run for the next term for federal president, which means he could run for approximately 16 years. To which a narrow majority of the Congress said, nah, you're not doing that. There was this orange-haired bloke from the 21st century that tried something like this. We're not having it. And, yeah. So he's instead of what I expected him to do, he's going to step back. He's going to support the Republican candidate, whatever he does, and let the election unfold sometime in June. Let's just be honest. He's still going to be the power behind the throne, isn't he?
Why do you say that?
Well, I don't know. I just got this strange feeling that Hudson, he'll still be in the background.
Well, I mean,
able to influence the new guy, so that.
Oh well, yeah, of course. Look at the Republic. Okay. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into politics. But look what happened back in the very old times, back in the 2020s. Look what happened with the previous American president, sort of having that kind of situation. I think it's really interesting because everything is pointing towards Rackham, and Rackham has a lot of money.
True.
Rackham has an awful lot of money, and
Twitter lately,
and you know what the Elite Dangerous community are like when it comes to voting with their "what can you give me" feet.
Yes, very true. Every single power play faction going.
Well, yeah, and it not even just that. If there's some kind of CG of some kind, let's say, I said some kind too many times then, but if there's a CG in relation to it and Rackham's paying a lot more and they're going to use that as an indicative of what's going to the thing, and Rackham has the precedence for being able to pay a lot more than anyone else because he's bonkers rich, then we might be looking at someone like that in charge, with obviously a little bit of Hudson in the background. But a question that I posit to you folks is: there's been an awful lot of power play talk in Galnet as of late. Do we even hope?
I don't dare to hope. The one thing that I do know, as I've said earlier, is that the Thargoid War has got to be not put to bed, but tied up in some way, because I don't think you'll be able to have power play, a reworked power play, working at the same time as the Thargoid War, because the Thargoid War is good at the moment and it's taking up an awful lot of people's time.
Unless it includes the Thargoid War.
Unless,
maybe.
Okay, then Psychic, you've got a happy glint to that.
Unless it completely the Thargoid War ends real fucking badly, and we get a little bit of a reset, and then people have to build from scratch again.
All the power play leaders are evacuated to Colonia.
Yeah, no one's going to Colonia for power play. They could make it the most profitable thing in the galaxy, and maybe 6 people would play it. But you know, there could be something that, like, everything is signal boosting towards it.
Yeah. Well, I know what you're saying. I know that the guard frequency are very, very. They're expecting something to happen with power play. I know that for a fact that, obviously, if they've said this is going to be a complete rework of whatever the new feature is going to be, or that's what they used to say. Power play definitely needs one, and it has to be changed in such a way that it's not exploited in the same way it is at the moment. And I know it's got so much work that would need doing that I'm a bit concerned that it won't be done. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And I don't think that Frontier would. I don't think necessarily that Frontier would go into something that substantial without putting a great deal of thought into it beforehand.
Well, I mean, yes. I think the Thargoid War has managed to prove that or at least turned around people's perception of what they're capable of doing.
100%, I agree.
Yeah, because everybody, not everybody, but there was a vocal minority who thought that, you know, that's it. And you can still hear them now all saying, okay, the Thargoid War. This is how they're going to shut Elite Dangerous down, by having the Thargoids wipe us all out. And I don't think they're going to do that.
No, it's ridiculous.
Not when the player numbers turned around the way they did. Yes, so as you said, Psychic, there's been a lot of talk about power play. I hope there will be, because
it would be very. If I'm going to use the B word. It would be very brave.
Yes, it would. I mean, to be honest, power play as it was, if you were playing in open, was actually a really good experience. But that was mostly due to the community I was playing with on all sides. Apart from the 5th columners, they can go suck donkey balls. Oh, and those that were just module shopping, they can suck alpaca balls.
I will suck them gladly. Problem, it's a small price to pay for the prismatics I want.
There's a quote.
A major rework of power play if that's what it was, and it was good and it was significant, that would be quite a 1-2-3 knockout for Frontier. I mean, to do something like the Stargoids, and
Yeah.
then to drop a war, and then to drop a power play update that incorporates it on top of that, while we're still waiting to see what's inside the Maelstrom. That's they're coming in with some serious punches if that's the sequence.
Well, I don't think it will be. I think if they do update power play, it'll have to be after the conclusion of the Thargoid War.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
That's just my opinion. Other opinions may vary. You're all entitled to your own. But yes, so Hudson has said he's going to step back. One thing I did say about with Mac Winston, constant contributor to our show, said that wouldn't worry about Hudson. He's got plot armor. Not really, because all they have to do is just change the picture and the bio, just a picture and a text. The actual faction can just continue just with a name change. It'll still be whatever the president is.
I don't think anyone's got plot armor. I genuinely don't believe that anyone has plot armor in this game anymore.
Yeah.
Because people used to say that, they'd never do anything to player faction systems. Frontier would never touch it. That was brave originally. We talked about it being brave, the fact that there were not power play, but like player factions that were attacked by the Thargoids. Oh, how far we have come since then.
Very much so. And I think the Brazilian pilots crew or for that, they're normally taking the brunt of the Tanaris maelstrom. So goodness.
And Dogs of Law as well. Pathamon's been under for a long time. I think Oya is relatively close to Loose Screws, and more importantly, Snocky Zan, which is where my base is.
Oh no!
I mean, if it hit, it won't hit there because I have every faith in Loose Screws to do all of the Thargoid combat that they can. But if it hits there, I will be playing at that station all day, every day. I will not sleep until they are gone.
Hold the line. Hold the line.
There's literally, it's just been me on my own red-eyed.
Sod the line. I am the line. Oh dear, yeah. Right, well, let's just give a quick Thargoid War update. Currently, this week, there are 40 systems under alert. 66 systems are being invaded. 5 systems have been recaptured. Yay! But I don't know whether that's been counted the same as stopping an invasion, or whether or not they've been actually captured from the control state. I wonder whether or not that's a... I'd like clarification on that one.
Is this from the DCOH stuff?
Yeah.
No idea.
No idea. Well, I'll ask them in their Discord. There are 21 systems in recovery, including the wonderful GE system. However, the Thargoids now control 1,070 systems, which is over 5% of the bubble, with projections still being that we've got approximately 4 years left till the death of humanity.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So far,
left until it's fully a dead game, right? Yeah.
16 billion people have been either killed or displaced, with the approximately 5 million Thargoid ships being destroyed. So, yeah, I think the Thargoids are winning. Still winning.
Yeah, well,
slowly,
we talked last week about it and not passing 1,000, and it's past 1,000 now. That's exciting. I mean, exciting's a funny word, but that's exciting.
5% of the bubble. That's quite a lot, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I am getting the feeling of I am beginning to get Minbari War vibes off this, and
Sorry. This 4 years prediction. So is this like calculated from 20 times how long it's been running so far?
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, the more systems that the Thargoids can pull back, the shorter our time period is going to be. Because at the moment, it was originally came out about 5 years, and we're now down to 4 years already. Yeah, it's only been 3 months, because it's an exponential curve up.
Oh dear.
Well, not an exponential curve, but the curve is getting slightly steeper every week as more systems fall. So
Fantastic! It's great. What a wonderful gradual loading bar for clearing the galaxy. Love it.
yeah. So I mean, that's what the approximate rate is at the moment, 4 years. But I'm now going to get told mathematics. I've got mathematics wrong. I'm almost as bad as Boris Johnson. Wonderful. So with that pointed out to me quite blatantly on the on the chat room, I think it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your
And welcome back. Well, we've got a couple of things to talk about as far as the store alert's concerned. Big one, spring sale. This is the fact that Elite Dangerous itself is 75% off, and it's 55% off Odyssey on the Steam Spring Sale. So this is one of the points where I get my Odyssey hat on and I say, listen, guys, you might have been holding off for Odyssey for quite a while. It's 55% off. Ideal time to try it. And it's what, 15, 16 quid now? That's worth it.
Perfect time to jump in and give it a go.
13.49.
Well, there you go. Not even that.
I was on it. I was Googling it real quick.
So, yeah.
13.49. If you want the deluxe edition, it's 15.74 with the Odyssey Deluxe Edition. I don't know what you get with the deluxe edition.
Soundtrack.
You don't need the soundtrack. You can get it on Spotify.
Exactly. But, yeah, you get the soundtrack separately. That's it. So 75% off Elite Dangerous itself, 55% off Odyssey. That means you could get the whole package quite nicely. And I've noticed a couple of people on Twitter have been trying the game out for the first time and coming back with responses like, I thought people said this game was shit.
Yeah.
It's not.
You know what?
It's a dead game, mate.
People might wonder what they get for Odyssey. Even if you're not sold on the on-foot combat and you don't go into the combat zones and you don't go into the settlement assaults, still well worth it. Atmospheric planet's just fantastic. Just being able to get out and walk around. I spent the morning wandering around the inside of a Thargoid base on foot, shooting those what are they called, scavengers? Is that right?
Yeah, scavengers. Yeah.
Shooting scavengers with my rifle. Bloody good fun. Well worth 13 quid. Even if you're not into any of the on-foot combat stuff.
You also, I'm very much of the opinion, and after speaking to I did a podcast series a little while ago where we talked to a lot of different commanders with a lot of different experiences, and we talked a lot about Odyssey on-foot stuff because it's one thing that we want to do, and I'm very much of the opinion that the Odyssey gameplay is at a really, especially the gun stuff, is at a really nice middle ground where if you can be absolutely brilliant at FPSs and sail through, but if you're not great, it provides a decent challenge.
Even I can play
it. I'm constantly comparing Odyssey to No Man's Sky, and there's some things that No Man's Sky does better than Odyssey, but the actual combat, well, obviously the flying ships is so much better than No Man's Sky, but the actual on-foot combat in No Man's Sky, I think Odyssey's better. I really do. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. It seems that they've improved the core mechanics to a point where I'm there thinking, yeah, it's got there.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Well, there you
100%
go.
agree.
Bargain. Well worth it.
Yeah, 13 quid 50. Yes, now's your time to try it. In addition, they have the spring livery sale, up to 30% off until March the 24th, which has these wonderful orange-looking designs on the Eagle and the Fleet Carrier. I take it these things will be coming through to Twitch drops at some point.
No, you can get those normally. Those are the things that exist. They all already exist.
Cool. One thing that we do have to mention at this moment in time is the Anti-Xeno Initiative. I've put in a bug report, and I can clarify that this is true. If your ship has a ship kit on it, you burn at twice the rate a ship does. You dissolve at twice the rate.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
No, you can't.
It's hilarious. You know that stuff that they make the caustic zinc anodes out of?
Yeah.
Well, that's my theory, is that the ship kits are sort of like a ballsed up version of those anodes, and it just bleeds into your ship.
It's gonna.
Ship
Go
kits never used to have a They never used to have a hitbox, did they? Until
they didn't originally. No, you're
yeah.
right.
So I
They do now.
wonder. Yeah, I wonder with the giving the ship kits a hitbox, there was also a number moved to mean that they would also take a shit ton of caustic damage on top of what your usual ship was.
I wonder if effectively by having a ship kit, your Eagle is getting an anaconda's worth of caustic damage.
Yeah, or like increasing the surface area of your ship by that much that it's completely fucking you.
Yeah, better check for those float overloaders.
Does it mean it's technically adding to your hull, though? You know, when people hull tank and stuff. If it's now counting towards
it
hitbox.
doesn't.
No, so just damage.
That number wasn't moved.
That'd be silly. There's no
that would be logic.
That would be
Yeah, sorry.
That would be pay to win.
You don't pay to win. You pay to lose.
Pay to lose is fine.
Oh, someone's brought up the Mark 4 again. The only ship I know that's pay to lose. Anyway, so yeah, very nice liveries. I'm going to leave it there. And with that, we'll be back with our main discussion after these short messages.
There's bargains at Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium haven't just been slicing carcasses, but also slicing their prices. All unspecified meat sausages now 2 for the price of 1. A pack of assorted meat steaks, now with 50% more meat at half the price. How about chops? Our surprising meat chops now also 50% off. And introducing our massive meat hamper. It's a family of 4. No, that should say feeds a family of 4, right?
Stick to the script, Claire. It says it's a family of 4.
Okay, I'll stick to the script.
Yeah, you do that.
It's a family of 4. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. Find us in the Lave Business Directory or visit us next to the station mortuary. Etienne Dawn's Unspecified Meat Emporium. You'll wonder how our prices are so low.
Space is vast, and pirates have needs just like anyone else. Introducing the Lonely Pirate Handbook, the ultimate resource for lonely pirates. Our guide covers the hot spots and not spots of interstellar space, from smugglers' dens to space station taverns, with helpful chapters such as how to be presentable in polite society, how to get rid of that nefarious rank, and my favorite, occasionally shower. Are your early advances often mistaken for attempts to rob or plunder?
Oh, I've come a long way for what's in your hold. Prepare to be boarded. Frameshift charge detected. Oh.
Buy today and receive the Lonely Pirates Chat-Up Guide for free.
I've got a very large hard point. Would you like to see my very large hard point?
You're so hot. You're making my temperature critical.
Lower your shields. I want to inspect the goods.
Come back to my place.
I might let you touch my A-rated anaconda.
Are you smuggling illegal goods? Because you've got fine written all over you.
The Lonely Pirate's Handbook. Now available in all Anarchy bookstores. We'll teach you to loot anyone's heart.
Hey Commanders, this is Mick from Crazy Mick's Reptile Emporium and Warehouse. Due to a hysterical ordering mishap and not reading the fine print, I'm currently in possession of over 10,000 snakes. Many of which are deadly, so everything must go. We have anacondas, asps, cobras, diamondbacks, fodlans, keelback, kraits, mambas, pythons, sidewinders and vipers, none of which are capable of spaceflight without being strapped to a rocket. Need a pet for your cockpit? Buy a snake. Need to scare your mother-in-law and give her a heart attack for the insurance money? Buy a snake. Need to fill a beluga full of snakes to assassinate a witness on their way to a Federation courthouse? Buy many snakes. Bulk discounts are available at Crazy Mick's Reptile Emporium and Warehouse. You can find us in the Lave Business Directory or visit us at the former site of Sensible Michael's Shipyard and Outfitting Warehouse. Will somebody get these mother snakes out of my mother warehouse?
Okay. It hasn't got the same gravitas as Samuel L. Jackson, but I know where he's coming from.
Crazy Mick. It's not Samuel L. It's Crazy Mick.
Good.
Alec, now you're going to run with this one.
Yes.
You have decided to be a masochist.
I have, yeah.
Yes.
I decided to go back and listen right from the beginning to Lave Radio because I missed it. I pretty much missed out on the Kickstarter actually, so I can't remember the first Lave Radio I ever listened to. But it can only have been like a month or two before the game launched, I guess.
It was so long ago.
Yeah, it's been a really good listen. It's really interesting, and one of the things that really struck me was that things are there's obviously a lot of speculation, which is neither here nor there for the purposes of this discussion. But there are assumptions. There were things that have been, were mentioned by Frontier, ideas that were very much in the pipeline, things that were, showcased or sort of talked about in dev diaries and things. And it's fascinating listening back and thinking, that never actually came about. I wonder what. And often you can see why it didn't come about. I just think there's quite a lot of things that were discussed that are really interesting, thinking and talking about why they didn't happen. So what I've been doing is sort of meticulously making notes. I'm sure people think this is hilarious. I'm on the train and I'm listening, on my headphones, and I suddenly have to rapidly drag my iPad out and start typing because I want to make a note of these things. So I thought we could go through
making note of a show that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah, indeed. So I've gone through the first 5 episodes. We've gone quite long tonight, so I think maybe we should cover a couple of these and see how this topic goes. And this is a topic that can sort of run, as and when we need
the Lave Radio review.
Indeed. So shall I just chip in and then we'll just discuss each of these points?
I'm sorry, I just went a bit Toast of London there. I do apologise.
All Ken Bruce is what it was. It was amazing.
Indeed.
Right, episode 2. Off you go.
I can't remember. I don't know why I haven't got any comments on episode 1. I guess you were just getting up and running and you probably weren't discussing very much other than hello, we're Lave Radio. Anyway, episode 2. For anyone that wants to follow along, 30 minutes in, the discussion turns to misjumps. So the idea that the frameshift drive could misjump and even occasionally misjump and cause you to appear somewhere else.
Well, you see, this was originally a thing from both the original game and from Frontier First Encounters. Because if you did not maintain your hyperdrive properly, especially in Frontier and First Encounters, the thing would start to malfunction, and you couldn't get anywhere. That's why nobody.
Right.
Oh, go on then.
I was just going to say, because we've kind of kept a bit of that with, which I think is really nice with supercharging. If you've gone to Colonia and you haven't taken an AFMU, then I'm sure people will be well aware of, after about, I don't know, 20 or 30 neutron jumps, it starts, getting faulty, which is interesting.
I didn't know it did that.
Yeah. I mean, it's still you can press on. I don't know when it gets seriously risky, but you just press on, and you just have to. You quite frequently have to wait while your frameshift drive sort of sorts itself out and is ready to roll again.
Right, Chris.
For me, this one would depend on the frequency of it happening. Like, I know that we're at war with the Fargoids, but the fact that, like, pretty much every jump when you try and do everything over there, you're getting pulled out by a Fargoid is really, really nippy. So for me, it's like, that would be really cool if it dropped you off somewhere spectacular that you weren't expecting to visit. But if you were really trying to get about game and, like, do your business, and every third jump you ended up a system over from where you expected you were going to be, I think it would grind my gears really quickly.
Yeah, there's a few things that we'll come across in this little list of mine, but yeah, quite a few of these features you think, yeah, thank God, because I think that would have got really annoying really quickly.
I would
Yeah,
love. Sorry.
Well, you see, this is the reason why everybody was really excited about trying for the center of the galaxy, because people tried it before in Frontier First Encounters, but because you'd only get something like 300, 400 light years before your drive would begin to break down and you start to misjump everywhere. So everyone was really excited that the same kind of thing would be in Elite Dangerous. So you can imagine the kind of disappointment when someone said, I think 2 days after the game was released, oh, I've got to Sagittarius A. And everyone went, oh, we thought it was going to be a bit more difficult than that.
Mm-hmm. Like it? Do you miss the idea of misjumps?
No, I don't. I don't. Obviously, I didn't play any of the previous games, so I only sit with this knowledge of Elite Dangerous. I like the fact that you can damage someone's frameshift drive so it might malfunction when they're trying to get away, that kind of thing. Like a lot of times when you're in the middle of combat or in a war and you're like, oh shit, I'm nearly dying, I've got to jump or I've got to move or something like that, and my frameshift drive is malfunctioning at that point. So it's just like you play the waiting game, wait for it to turn on, and then hope it charges fully. That I really like. I don't like the idea of misjumping. I like to get where I'm planning on going, and that's what AFMUs are for, to keep it up to date.
One thing I was struck by, and we'll sort of encounter this, quite a lot of these features that were discussed and ultimately dropped, I feel like it's turned out that there's so much to do in the game that we sort of didn't need all these little things that you. Do you know what I mean? Quite a lot of these things are sort of things to do if there isn't very much to do, like looking after your ship and maintaining your ship and making sure. But frankly, we're all busy doing the 1,000,001 things that this game gives us to do, and we don't need all these little distractions.
Do you feel that maybe that's because of the limitation, like the expectations to follow through with things that were available in the previous games that were visualized by just numbers on a sliding scale, and now with the fact that the game is so much more there's so much more like visual and more technical things that you can do, that it gives you something like following a number degradation isn't necessarily what folks are as interested in now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main issue about having the degradation and the misjumps was to make exploration a little bit more difficult. And that went out the window as soon as someone said, I've managed to get this far. And everyone just went, oh. And that was it, really.
Okay, let's move on. So no misjumps. Right, 42 minutes into episode 2, there was an interesting discussion about the ideas of predators and repayment missions. So I think what this was like the idea that you know we have this to some extent now with ship insurance. You lose your ship, if you've got the money to pay the insurance and get a new one back, all very good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was to do with the idea that if you didn't have the money, rather than what the game now does, which is throw you back into a sidewinder and you basically start again, was offering you the option to run repayment missions, which I thought was kind of interesting.
This is the genesis of the Orange Sidewinder and Lave Radio.
Yes, right.
This
Yes,
is
that's
the point
touched on
where,
later on. Yes.
yeah, because there's this kind of repayment missions, whereas you were either paying for your crime or paying for a new version of the ship meant that you got this Sidewinder, which was basically painted Asbo orange, which is what the Orange Sidewinder is. It's supposed to be a punishment vessel.
That checks out. I can appreciate that.
I still sort of like the idea of, and there was other things I don't think I've noted, but it cropped up again during discussions in the early episodes. Ideas of being imprisoned and not having access to your ship and working off your crime, and I think equally, although it's fun to sort of speculate about ideas like that, you have to ask, is it fun? Is it fun for the player? And to some extent, if it's not, then you don't really want it.
Can I ask a question about that real quickly? Something that I don't think I've ever even considered. If you fly without rebuy, I had never fly without rebuy, you idiot. I had that hammered in right at the beginning. There was not a chance in hell I would ever fly a ship without the rebuy. If I were to fly without rebuy and crash my ship, what is the option that's available to me at the moment? It's just a Sidewinder, isn't it?
Yep. And they've now given you credit for a certain amount, I think. So
you can sell your other ships, can't you?
Yeah, if you've got other ships. But most of us at the time, when we were going through the original series, when all this don't fly without rebuy thing happened, we normally had just one ship because we didn't have enough money to buy more than one ship. So if you lost your asp, which you were building up, that was it. You were back to the Sidewinder.
Yeah.
And if I think that happened to me once.
I was very stupid and did a thing where I was like, if I do this one cargo run, then I'll be able to buy the next ship up. And yeah, I died. And then that was it. I'd invested all my life in that ship and its cargo.
It's always that, just one waffle in mint run, isn't it?
It's just that one run. It's just one run. What can I possibly do wrong on one run? Well...
Oh my God, Joey's open. Holy shit.
Yeah, funny. And it's interesting talking on that subject, actually. A couple of minutes later in episode 2, around about 46 minutes, there was some speculation from the show hosts, and this is like Fozzer and Alan, I guess. But on... Obviously, there'd been a hint that we might be able to own more than one ship. And there was quite a lot, there was even some sort of speculation among the hosts about the idea that we might even be able to own as many as 3 ships. I thought was hilarious. Beautiful.
Oh my God, can you imagine being able to own as many as 3 ships?
Yeah.
Well, again, this was based on the previous games. In the first game, you could only fly the Cobra Mark III. That was the only ship you had available to you. On Frontier and First Encounters, you could buy plenty of other ships, but you could only have one of them available at any one time. So you buy a Cobra Mark III, that's it. You can't buy a Viper Mark III and have it on the side for you to use as you want. No, this was... You had one ship, that was it. And the fact that the thought you could have, perhaps we could have more than one ship.
Yeah.
It blew our little tiny minds.
It's really funny. I've just got to a bit in episode 6 where it's been confirmed that we can have more than one. And the hosts are debating where they will be, whether they'll sort of somehow magically follow you around. Or whether they'll all be. It seems so obvious now that they're just parked in a shipyard, and you either transfer them or go and get them. But it's fascinating listening back when we had no idea and thought they might sort of mysteriously follow us around.
Well,
the next one. Sorry, go on.
Oh, go on. Be thankful that they did put in the ship transfer feature, because there was a point where you just had the shuttle Sidewinder.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else remembers that now.
How many ships have we all got? How many ships have you got, Psychic?
Oh, fuck me, that's a question. They don't all fit on my Sidewinder, they don't all fit on my fleet carrier, so there's more than 50.
Wow.
More than 40, sorry. Like half of them are old buckyball ships that I will not change
yes,
from previous races. I imagine you've got all of the previous ones as well.
Yes,
I've got 4 Corvettes. I've got more than the. Oh, can you imagine having 3? I think I've got 5 Corvettes, and I'm making a 6th. God. I had 2 Type 7s. I've got 2 Type 7s sitting on my fleet carrier. I was going through it today. I was like, why the fuck have I got 2 Type 7s? I never fly a Type 7. But one of them's been named, Colin. I don't know why it's there.
I've just had a quick look at my Inara fleet. I've got 49 ships.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can see it on mine.
I thought they got 25.
Well, good for you. You don't need that many ships. I don't need that many ships.
No, they're all old buckyballers. They're just lying around the start line of whatever race they were bought.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mostly. Right.
Yeah. Okay. The next one. Oh, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, last one. So this is the last one from episode 2. This was around about the 49-minute mark of episode 2. And this was the idea that the game would have an Iron Man mode. So this wasn't just a sort of voluntary, people play, you can play Elite Iron Man if you want, but it's a voluntary thing. But this was an Iron Man mode, a sort of opt-in Iron Man mode. There were various things that, if you die is the thing. But what I really liked was the idea that one of the things of Iron Man mode would be it would up to you to manually launch your escape pod.
Again, another thing back from the previous games.
Right.
And
what happened if you didn't? So did you have a timer? Got 10 seconds to launch your escape pod, or you're dead?
No. Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. No, an escape pod happened automatically. If you didn't have an escape pod, then basically you died.
Right. Because this is the thing that was commented that caught my eye, was the idea that in Iron Man mode, you would have to hit a key binding to manually launch your escape pod. I assume within the final death throes of your ship.
No, this would be at any time up to that point, because they were statistic. Oh, I've got my words all gone. Sadistic people, sadistic radio hosts. They wanted you to accidentally hit the eject button at any time.
Oh no!
And you would give flying off, because they wanted that. They wanted that. They wanted that thing where you're flying along, and you have to pull off a maneuver, and you accidentally hit the eject button, and before you know it, you're going off in one direction. You can see your ship going off in another. They wanted that.
57.
Wow, you win.
Yeah, I've only got 12.
I didn't realise I had 57. How many do you have, Chris?
12.
Oh my god, you're so adorable. I've only got 1 keel back, and that feels like an absolute travesty.
I bet there's some ships I don't actually own. I ought to address that. What's the limit? I assume there is a limit.
No, there isn't. 40 per shipyard, but you can have like 40 I imagine how many ships with shipyard, how many stations with shipyards are there?
Wow. Really?
So it's that times 40 is how many you can have.
Wow.
So you've not got a problem.
That's a lot of ships.
Not got a problem until the Fargoys destroy all the starports, at which point your fleet may need to diminish slightly.
Yeah.
Only a little bit.
And that's one of what would you rather? Would you rather your ship be completely destroyed when the Thargoids work the station out?
Yeah. I quite like. We'll come on to this later. I can't remember when it is, but later on there's the idea of putting out a call for rescue. But we'll address that when we come to it. That was it for episode 2. Episode 3, really good, interesting episode. Actually, getting into discussion, the idea of the writers, or the different Kickstarters for the writers, and lots of stuff on background lore. So much detail on the differences between the Empire and the Federation, and it's really.
Oh, that would have been Alan really waxing lyrical, wouldn't it?
Good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that struck me was that a lot of the background lore for all 3 superpowers actually covered religion quite a lot, religion and theology. And unless I'm wrong, and I confess I haven't scoured the codex in game, I feel like that was sort of dropped I don't know if anyone can comment on
Yeah,
that.
well, there wasn't anything really put in for religion.
Right.
Um,
Possibly
like
just as well. I don't think.
everybody either believes in something or they don't.
Yeah.
Like now, really.
Yeah, they were interesting. It was a good discussion because obviously in a galaxy of millions of rather than one planet, it would, I'm sure religion would be there, but it would be so varied and widespread that I don't know. Yeah,
I think the only sort of mentions of religion we've had are religious extremes. So things like some of the generation ships had very some of the generation ship stories. I'm not going to spoil any, but go and visit the generation ships. They're fucking amazing. The Gold Condor's not there anymore, but they're fucking amazing. Go and visit the generation ships because the stories are like insular to themselves and they're great. But a couple of those sort of circle around really like interesting bits and pieces. It's not so much within, like in the codex, it's not so much a religion but more ethics that they look at, and it's the ethics that are really strong between certain factions.
I suppose also religion doesn't
pointed
really
out that there's the Thargoid cult.
Yeah. That as well. That's another extreme. Like normally, I think for the most part, the religion is like an extreme version of it, but it's mostly just sat in like an ethics area.
I suppose also religion doesn't. While it's nice background, it really doesn't impact on gameplay in the same way that something like attitudes to slavery or illegal substances might.
It could be. It's also pretty divisive as well for like people playing. You don't, those people who, again, as Colin said, you either believe or something or you don't. That kind of sitting really hard within a religious thing is quite.
Yeah. Okay.
Quite. Yeah. It gives me a little bit of that ick that I'm not keen on. But even like, for example, people like Tessero, big player at the moment. If you go into her information on the codex, she's got a ridiculous story. Born to a cult, another religious cult, and more extremists rather than something more sort of everyday religion kind of thing.
I must go back into that because I'm right in saying all that stuff's available on audio, isn't it? You can just hit play and have these things read to you while you're flying around.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's very much like Mass Effect, because if you go into the codex in Mass Effect, it will read it to you. It's just that I do like the fact that you can still fly about while listening to the codex, because you can put it in the list.
I would really quite like is an option in the sort of right hand audio panel to just play me a random Galnet, a random codex piece. Anyway, moving on. About half an hour into episode 3, there's a discussion of, because it's covering lore, it talks about the Empire and the Federation, and then it gets on to independent systems.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that these places would be dangerous.
Yes.
I think we've touched on this in the show before, but this is one thing that I do feel a bit sad about. I couldn't put my finger on why it hasn't happened. But the simple fact is that it never really feels to me like any one system is particularly more dangerous than any other system. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Well, it's well known. I've said it hundreds of times before that populated anarchy worlds, really you should be scared of going into. I've always felt that, especially if you've got one of these big fat T9 traders, you should be really avoiding them.
What would you do to fix that?
Well, see, this is the thing. I don't think we can fix it now, because as soon as you start putting that kind of difficulty into the game, people are just going to go, just going to complain it.
I'll tell you what would fix it. I tell you
Go
exactly what will fix it. If the Thargoids wipe out the bubble and it starts afresh. But tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Give like anarchy systems also, anarchy factions also are fucked at the moment. The BGS is fundamentally broken in many different ways. Anarchy systems being a very a big highlight of this. If there is an opportunity to start afresh with that and address the issues that the anarchy systems have, and then if you're playing an anarchy, or more specifically, if there is a new type of faction called specifically a pirate faction, let's say. Let's say if we're specifically a pirate faction, and you can see that those pirate faction is in charge of the galaxy.
Yep.
Then it should be scary to go into there. You should be worried that you're going to get interdicted every five seconds. Like one interdiction finishes and then there's another pirate on your ass and that. And you want to go in there to bounty hunt. And these systems that are controlled by pirates and this a deadly pirate faction should feel deadly and dangerous.
Yeah. It is interesting. I mean, I think we've certainly got used to certain things about the game. I was seeing somebody the other day that was complaining that they were jumping from A to B, and it just so happened that their path sent them through the Thargoid War. And they were quite annoyed. You know, their gameplay had been spoiled by the fact that their jumps were being interrupted. And it's like, I don't want to part. You know, there's this. I'm not interested in that gameplay, and how dare it impinge on my trade route? And I was thinking that's a shame, because really Elite should be this living, breathing galaxy. And
but if only there was some kind of map of the galaxy, galaxy map, let's say, where you can go through and you can see what systems are being attacked by Thargoids currently.
You know, that was pointed out to the guy, and then it was like, well, I'm going to have to. You know, it was just such a burden that he was going to have to. He couldn't take a straight line. He was going to have to navigate around this thing, and I was thinking that should be really fun. That should be
That's the whole
exciting.
point. Yeah.
Trade. This is a trade route, is it?
I assume.
Yeah.
Well, it's a trade route.
Like it's like roadworks. I bet you this person plays Euro Truck Simulator, and some of the Venn diagram of Elite Dangerous players and players of Euro Truck Simulator is almost a circle. I'm coming to understand, but it like if a road is closed, you choose another road. It's exactly the same.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, one of the things that I always wanted was the fact that they have a crime and punishment system force naughty commanders to only be able to live in anarchy systems, so that when another player comes through that anarchy system, then all the griefers there have got, right, here comes someone into our system then.
There was a beautiful proposal put out on the forums. This was a few years ago by I've forgotten the guy's name, but he was quite a well-known griefer. But you know, he had useful things to say. Ryan G,
I think it is.
Maybe it was a really good proposal along those lines. That you know, instead of shadow banning or things, you basically you would push people out to these anarchy systems, which would basically therefore be crawling with griefers, and then you'd have commodities that you could only get in these systems, which would be the reason to attract players into them. It was a really well thought out idea. I thought it would be fantastic, but you know, hey ho.
Yeah.
We got one more. I think we'll do it. We'll finish up episode 3 and then save the others for another show. This last one I thought was really interesting. It's about an hour into episode 3, and the idea of the well-known elite rank. There's some discussion about how the old game basically rewarded you for being a bloodthirsty murderer, and how many people you killed basically determined how great and wonderful a pilot you were.
You weren't really a bloodthirsty murderer. You were a bloodthirsty defender of yourself.
Well, yeah, but anyway, so this was about what this new game would have, and the idea was really interesting. I hadn't heard this previously. Was that being elite would be membership of a club, effectively, your rank towards elite would be hidden from the public, so other players wouldn't know how good you were and whether you were about to become elite. And what particularly caught my eye was that the idea of becoming elite would be based on wealth, combat, as in kills, knowledge, as in acquisition of data, and influence. Now, my reading of that is versus what we now have, which is that you have, elite based on exploration, money, I guess, combat based on combat bonds, money again, and trade based on money. Correct me if I'm wrong, but all our elite ranks are basically based on how much money you've earned in each of those three disciplines.
I don't think so. I don't. I think the combat rank is based differently.
Okay.
I think the combat rank is based because I remember me and Crash having a discussion about this. The combat rank depends on the difference between your rank and the ship that you've taken down. So if you're a harmless pilot and you take down an elite ship, you get a massive boost to your ranking. However,
yes, of course you do, don't you? There's a difference there. It isn't reflected in the credit payouts, presumably.
No, it's not. The credit payouts are a separate thing. So if you're attacked by a notorious pirate or a newbie pirate, you still get the same amount.
Right.
It just depends on your relative rank to theirs. So
but what do
if
we
you
think
are
on those on that old system? So I thought there were two things that were interesting. One, that your elite rank wasn't public and that it would get you access to something. I'm not sure it was disclosed exactly what, but the idea that becoming elite would get you into a club that gave you some kind of benefits. So I thought that was interesting.
That was Sinatra Desra.
Was that it, basically?
That was
It
the whole
wasn't
point
stated
about
explicitly in that episode, but that was it. Okay.
No, but it was in the Kickstarter because you start off at elite or access to the elite system, which was Shinrata Desra. If you didn't pay for that appropriate Kickstarter band, the only way to get access to that system is if you're elite in one of the three ranks.
Actually, I'm curious. Let's sort of just go round here. Do people treat other players? Do you notice their rank almost immediately because it is, of course, now public? And in what way do you, if any, do you treat other players differently based on their rank?
No, I don't. I did get Elite 1 in combat today, which made me super happy, and I didn't realize I was going to get it, and that was a real boon. So I quite like the Elite 1. I've decided I've not hit one before, and it was quite fun. That's a sidebar, but you reminded me of it when talking about these ranks. I don't look at that. What I do see more often than not is the one that is in red when I'm looking at the details. So if they're aligned to a hostile power or something on those lines, like if I think it says enemy or something, if it's aligned, does it say enemy if it's aligned to a hostile power? I noticed that when we were doing some Thargoid combat the other day. I flicked to another commander and it said something in red, and I was like, oh, really interesting. Didn't even pay attention to what rank they were. I imagine it was probably elite, but yeah, it's super
interesting. Colin?
Super interesting.
Well, players I do.
Do you note their rank and do you treat them differently, do you think?
Well, this is the thing, because if you are an elite ranked pilot, the chances are you've got that rank by shooting a lot of NPCs. I know some PvPers who are only ranked something like expert or master. Yeah, but all they've done is taken out other players.
Yeah.
They are, it's a good indication of where a player might be at, because obviously if you're elite, you're better than someone who is harmless and close to the newbie zone. But you never know. You could have someone who's got a 5 elite rating in PvP or in CQC, and he's just decided, oh, you know what? I'll restart an account, and before you know it, a sidewinder with some pop guns is taking you apart.
Yeah, that's funny. I think that as well. I mean, I'll come to Chris last, but I was going to say exactly that. That even if I see somebody harmless, I always kind of think, Yeah, but are you? I think I'll watch what you do and make my own. Are you Army harmless, or are you a very long time player who's just got a new account? Chris, do
Yeah,
you...
Mac Winston says there's a big three: the Fer-de-Lance, Wanted, and Elite. I think I'll treat that one with suspicion.
Yes, yeah, the Fer-de-Lance is yeah.
Yeah, I think Max probably hit it there. With me, I just doff my hat to people that are elite. I've only got one elite in trade now. Finally got one elite, but yeah,
the easy one.
The easy one.
That's all you need, though.
That's all I need. Finally, I've got one elite. I'm happy. I can get into Shanata Dresra. I'm done. I can retire happy. Yeah, I pay a little bit of attention to it, but normally out of like neighborhood nosiness more than anything else. Like when I'm checking out people in the bar, I'll be like, that's what rank they are. Nice.
And just like as a final point on this thing of hang on, I've lost my thread. The idea that knowledge stroke acquisition of data was one of the ways of becoming elite. I guess nothing that got dropped. That seems quite interesting to me.
Well, not really, because you still got the codex. When you actually scan something new, it adds to your codex value, and you get money for it, which you can cash in, and that goes on your exploration rank. So. Yeah, it does. So
if for example you go to Dab's Hope and you scan the beacon and you get that's a little tick towards exploration.
Yes. So basically you are rewarded for knowledge discovery.
I wouldn't be averse to seeing that on a separate metric.
Me too.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of things that are involved in the trade and the exploration ranks that I would love to have seen separated out, such as passenger running and mining, because you can normally distort your elite ranking just by being lucky with mining for a little while. And if I remember rightly, you could become trade elite after 2 days just by mining, and I just always thought that was a little bit too easy. If you see what I mean.
I don't know what I would call the rank, science or something. That's not quite right. But I do love the idea, and we'll come on to this in another episode. But there was a point where we touched on it. Touches on achievements. I would love to see that sort of beacon and data thing separated from exploration. So the idea that if you've been to all the INRA bases and you've been to lots of tourist beacons and you've scanned places like Dab's Hope, I'd love to see an elite ranking in that sort of thing. I think I'd put quite a lot of store by that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to draw this to a close because we've seen the time on this. But yeah, it's fascinating to look back to see what we were hoping for and seeing what we got.
Cool.
And
we'll come back to this because I have plenty more notes and there's some good stuff.
Yeah, there's another 300 and how many more episodes?
Yeah, don't listen to all of them. Do not listen to all of them. You will die.
Well,
maybe
I'm hoping
the first few months.
I'm hoping I'll get to a point where I'll think I've heard this one, and then we'll be, I'll have gone.
All of a sudden, we're in the Lave Radio snake eating its own tail at the moment, aren't we?
What's that? An Ouroboros?
Ouroboros.
Lave Radio Ouroboros. Yes.
Or
absolutely.
if you're from Red Dwarf, it's an Ouroboros.
I'm looking forward to in 10 years' time where they're reviewing the Lave Radio episode where they reviewed the previous Lave Radio episodes covering the content.
Oh no, I'm watching walkthroughs where I'm watching walkthroughs. No.
Yes, if you're listening to this in the future and we're reviewing episode 434 where we start reviewing episode 1, then stop listening for God's sake.
And welcome to episode 683, where we look after episode 228. I can see all the Red Dwarf fans got what I meant. That's good. Right. Right, moving on from ancient history. We have a couple of any other business things to touch on. From gaming with your eyes to coding with AI, new frontiers for accessibility AI. There's a lovely article about a girl born with a quadriplegic cerebral palsy who's worked with special effect to be able to game, and of course play Minecraft, and then caught the development bug, and via many open source tools like Opticoder, which is a fork of OptiKey, now studies applied computing at the University of Dundee. That is amazing.
Brilliant.
Well done, a special effect for helping out there, because it's unbelievable. And that's not in Community Corner because my notes just jumped to the wrong place.
It's all right, just let's finish any other business and we'll go back to Community Corner. It's fine. It'll be seamless.
Yes, fix it in the edit. Oh,
no,
anyway,
we can make an edit as well.
No, I'm all right, thanks.
Right. For those of you who remember, Ty, who started the Loose Screws podcast, his daughter is doing a social science project involving farming and space. Obviously, two that work together. Now, she's asked, the first thing that you think of when you're thinking about farming in space, you think of Elite Dangerous.
Yes.
But obviously, you're farming grinds, aren't you? Not actually.
That kind of farming.
No, you're not actually planting seeds on Mars. You're not doing a Mark Watney, which, to tell you the truth, every time I go on one of these thin atmosphere planets, I'm there thinking, I want to watch The Martian again. But back to Ty's daughter. She's doing a social science project about farming and in space. And she's asking as many people in the US as possible to fill out a small survey, which we will put in the show notes, which is tinyurl.com space farming survey. Dear. Yes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what. I hope people are sensible with their answers. Anyway, after that slight diversion, we'll go back to Community Corner. Now, first of all, we have to take our hats off. The Golden Hour, Protocop's new video was astounding.
So good. He is doing stuff, and I've said this to him, and I'll say it until the cows come home. He is doing stuff in Elite that no one else is doing, and it's so refreshing.
Beautiful stuff, isn't it? Yes. I'm not crying. You're crying.
So good. I can't get over it.
Who's cutting onions? Who's cutting onions?
How many times have you all watched it? Because I've watched it at least 60 times.
I was going to say about 10, so you've got me there.
I love that piece of music anyway, and the fact that he's done something so beautiful to it. Amazing, incredible. Go watch it.
I also really like, it's well worth looking at the video description because it's very lengthy and gives you a sense of just how much effort and time he's put into making these videos and how much he appreciates the attention they're getting.
When I read it, and he mentioned something about in the description, spoiler alert, he talks about there being a problem with NVIDIA drivers and Premiere and his video making software, and I felt that literally in my core because I was trying to upload something for a hashtag ad and it wasn't working because my Premiere Pro was broken, and I was like, I feel it so much, and now I'm listening to this music and it's so sad. Very good.
Very good. Right, at the moment, we have a link here to something which I can't even open. It's done by Commander Darrell on Reddit. Yes, it's his personal interpretation of Soiling A's recent developments. It's apparently a very good interpretation of the current lore event.
It is.
But unfortunately, I can't see it. Which
it is. It's really, really good.
To me.
It's really, really good. It goes through in detail about each sort of step and their interpretation and the language. And I only saw it because Ben Hennessy tweeted out about it. Ben Hennessy being the person in charge of the narrative at Elite.
Oh, right.
So yeah, so I saw it because Ben had tweeted it, and I was just like, this is really, really cool. It's a full a very, very long spoiler filled bit of reading, but it does break down everything that's there into very, very cool interpretations, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, very believable as well. I mean,
Mhm.
pretty much, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was spot on. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I will. Oh, I finally managed to get it to reveal its spoilers. I will look through it with interest later. Yes. We now have also a new high wake video called High Grade Emissions. Always love a bit of high wake. And of course, what's this about a miracle elixir?
It's a new ad. It's the latest spoof ad. We upload one every Monday. It's Professor Pep's Miracle Elixir. It's voiced by Witherspoon. It's one of my personal favourites because it takes the piss out of the four of us, and I do that quite a lot.
Oh, I know the one.
Never before discovered plants.
Yeah,
it's that one.
Yes. So again, links in the show notes there. Right, before we carry on, has anybody got any other business or any other business? Nothing new?
No.
No, we've covered that. Right. Let's go straight to the shout-outs then. First of all, our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv, Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're giving a shout out to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So there's also the Guard Frequency, who do other space games as well. And also there's the fantastic cheese-eating Loose Screws, who are munching away on their hillbillies right now. I don't even know where I came up with that one. I do apologize. Now, following this, we do have a Galnet News Digest, as provided by Commander Witherspoon and the wonderful Commander Beetlejuice, who I thought was fantastic last week. Round of applause to Beetlejuice. We'll also I would like to thank everybody who has chipped in on the Twitch chat. And Chris and Ventura, how have you done with people? Oh, hang on. We've had Cybrus, Jeannie Van XYL, Helmut Grockenberger, Rich, 1986 Rich, Soccer 42, Halo Fanatics, and of course the wonderful Mac Winston. They've all annoyed you at some point, have they?
Yes, we've all been hanging out in the bar today because I can't concentrate on two things at the same time.
Blue Ganymede is asking, are cheesy hillbillies really a thing? Yes, and go listen to the Loose Screws podcast for living proof. JN Trax is going to kill me for that. Anyway, special thanks goes to Commander Tokuso, JN Trax, and Alan Stroud, who have all created music for the show. So that is it for yet another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up on facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at Lave Radio on Twitter, tweet us at Lave Radio @spacey.space on Mastodon. That's a mouthful. You can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/Lave Radio. And we also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to hang out and chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Now, do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode or even a future episode. It's like Dave, it'll come back round again. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and is streamed out on laveradio.com/live. So, thanks for stepping in, Chris Mark IV.
You're welcome.
And thanks to Psychit.
Thank you, and thank you to the people at the end of the heat death of the universe who are now re-listening to this show.
Within about 6 or 7 versions of it.
Yeah. You've got like maybe 20 minutes left to live, but like you can squeeze in 20 more minutes of Lave. You've got this.
I'm well.
Got to say hello to future Alec, who is cataloguing this episode.
It might not be Alec. It might be whoever he's regenerated into.
In a jar somewhere.
Under the aforementioned, thank you, Alec.
Thanks, Colin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Delete as appropriate.
Oh, it's all timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly now. And special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, the lovely Commander Ventura, who's busy flying and shooting the stuff at the moment. So until next time.
Chris Mark was tech.
Well,
yeah,
hang on,
I was doing both jobs today. Both jobs.
Slick.
Multitasking.
Like mad skills. I told you could do it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, but I'm actually impressed.
Oh, thank you, Colin.
There was for some reason I thought Ventura was doing it because you were able to jump in at the last moment.
Legitimately, no. That was legitimately why I asked him to do it. I didn't realise that it was the other way round. My sincerest apologies. I will inevitably bully you in the future, Chris. I do apologise.
We're all accused of bullying him. We're all accused of bullying him into this.
I did bully him into this. I genuinely did. It happened. I was there.
And that's only because we thought he was free. We didn't realise Chris was doing the tech today. Oh, well, thank you, Chris, doubly. And yes.
You're absolutely welcome.
Same time next week. So until then, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be loaded. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 21st of April 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Hudson is losing his job. Shoji and I may have discovered Raxler. And Salvation may be a Dalek. And we talk ship kits, and annoying the Thargoids into going away and not coming back.
President Zachary Hudson has accepted that he will not take part in the 3309 presidential election and that his time in office is coming to an end. The president addressed Congress after they voted by a narrow majority to turn down Hudson's bid to set aside the 77th Amendment of the Federal Accord, a decision that will bar Hudson from seeking re-election at the end of his 8-year term in June. He said he accepted the outcome of the Democratic vote, but made it clear that he intends to remain a power within federal space after he steps down from the presidency. He expressed his concern that a transfer of power to a new administration might impact on the prosecution of the war against the Thargoid invasion and on the rest of the Republican Party's security agenda. But he stated with conviction that it would be the Republican Party that would lead the Federation to victory, and pledged to support the Republican candidate at the election, whoever that might be. There has been a flurry of activity to line up a replacement Republican candidate for the presidency. Several members of Hudson's cabinet have previously expressed an interest in standing, including Jerome Archer, who replaced Brad Mitchell as vice president in 3307. Secretary of State Lana Berkovich, who did so much to try to enable Hudson to stand for re-election again. And the rather unlikely lawyer, Grand Attorney Edwin Espinoza. Outsider Thandika Kwabe is also expected to put her name forward, but has no chance of being selected. By comparison, the Liberal Party is well organised, with Felicia Winters and Isolde Rochester already selected as the presidential and vice presidential candidates. Winters has the considerable advantage of being the only candidate that is a recognised power within federal space, something that makes her far more likely to be elected than any of the faceless prospective Republican candidates. The only other candidate of note is trillionaire, piratical playboy, corporate leader, benefactor of Colonia and winner of the Federal Grand Lottery, Zachary Rackham, who is running on a low-tax, high-expenditure ticket that promises that all federal citizens can become rich, just like Rackham. In the unlikely event that he wins, the Federation is expected to become insolvent within weeks. The election will be held in June, on a date to be determined by the federal election manager, Benjamin Hennessy.
There is no further word about the whereabouts of Azimuth's former test subject, Su Jin Ai. On Thursday, Admiral Aidan Tanner of Aegis put out a call for assistance in tracking down the former D2, who's believed to be on a mission to get even with the former head of Azimuth, Dr. Caleb Wycherley, also known as the Witch, and as Salvation. A mission that's all the more mysterious because Salvation has been confirmed dead. From information picked up along the trail, it appears that So believes that Salvation is not in fact dead, despite having left his body, and that his consciousness has been uploaded into a databank that allows him to live on as a non-corporeal intelligence. Unlike Pranav Antal's SIM archive, So believes that Salvation's Nemesis device is powered by some of the Guardian technology that Azimuth amassed over the years. So has not yet been located, but the wreckage of several ships have been found in the Ankar system, with a cryptic fragment that appears to be asking, what the expletive is that? We have to assume that whatever that was, it created quite an impression on one of the pilots in the last few seconds of consciousness. Aegis insists that it's still searching for the missing So, while Azimuth has called for her to be captured and sent to one of their research laboratories for her own safety. Which doesn't sound like they know where she is either. The dead end to Seo's trail leaves plenty of room for speculation, especially when there are also rumours that Salvation might not be entirely dead. It's possible that Seo is still on the run, or that she's been captured, or that she's finally mind-melded with the Thargoid battle fleet. There are those who believe that Seo has been sighted aboard the Scrivener clan dredger, or that she's found Raxla. There are even some misguided souls who believe she's helping Zorgan Peterson to develop the Panther Clipper. As for Salvation, if he's not part of the Guardian construct network, and if his disembodied head isn't commanding operations from a shelf in Azimuth HQ, then perhaps he's living on the planet Skaro, among the hospitable Khaled people, in a custom wheelchair designed by his best friend and fellow scientist, Davros. There's a terrible idea circulating that should Azimuth ever get hold of her, Salvation may try to download his consciousness into So's body, regenerating in a Whovian sort of way. Access to So's Thargoid interface brain implant might allow him to read the minds of his enemy and lead them into final and all-consuming oblivion. But it's more fun to think that he's just a Dalek.
following the discovery that ship kits dramatically increase caustic damage suffered in Thargoid environments, the Pilots Federation has announced a sale of such ship kits. And in a way, they're a status symbol. Anyone brave enough to enter a maelstrom wearing a cursed ship kit of triple damage has to be showing off a bit. Look, they're saying, I am so good a pilot that I can afford to work at this tremendous disadvantage and still get more kills and tissue samples than lesser pilots. In related news, and following Aegis's imprecation to concentrate on stopping the Thargoids from invading alert systems, rather than having fun fighting them in systems they've already invaded, Commander LCU No Fool Like One has confirmed what many have suspected, that it's far easier to find Orthrus interceptors if you're part of a team. Threat 4 NHSSers seem to appear far more regularly if there are several commanders hunting together. There is also a belief that just killing the Orthrus may not necessarily be the best way to save a system from invasion. Hutton trucker Alex Zuno has been experimenting collecting tissue samples and turning them in at rescue ships. Apparently, the Thargoids dislike research probes so much that they decide not to invade after all. Science may, after all, be the answer.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.